Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode Jash Reads. This time, the last episode was only a few days ago instead of a few weeks. Progress. I have four lovely birds, and one of my cockatiels today, for some reason, flew right into my face. I don't know, she's maybe Mondays affect, birds more than we thought. And so let's begin with this chapter of Animorphs number 10, The Android by K.A. Applegate. That, is one of those, plot twists I have. Not really a plot twist, but, something that happens that you wouldn't want spoiled for you the first time reading. So this is a good chapter, and one of those chapters where I actually feel the pressure because I feel this is one of those very important chapters. So let's get started and hope I don't screw up as much as normal. We are the Chi, Erek said. Mr. King had left, and Erek had brought us to a place beneath a large tree. A little stream trickled by just a few feet away. A wall of silence had come down, as if someone had turned down the sound of all the barking dogs. I could still hear them, but it was as if the sound were far away now. You are androids, Axe commented. Yes. You show a very high level of technological sophistication, Axe said. Erek smiled with what looked exactly like human lips. We are just the creation. It is our creators who were the great builders. Why did you bring us down here? Jake asked. Why show us all this? We want you to trust us, Erek said. We know that you're suspicious. You have to be. I'm sure you've left some of your people outside, just in case we betray you. I wanted us to be equal. I wanted you to know our secrets, since we know yours. We saw you at the concert, I started to say. He looked surprised, then nodded. Ah, yes, you were the two dogs, weren't you? I sensed something odd about you. Tell me, what's it like to actually be a dog? It's truly cool, Jake said. You knew we were the two dogs? Erek shook his head. We didn't know, but I felt something strange. We've known there were morph-capable forces on Earth. There's very little that the Erks know that we don't also know. You were handing out flyers for the sharing. You were at a meeting of the sharing, I accused. True, but maybe I should tell you our story. Then you'll understand who we are, and why we are your allies, and also why we, or at least some of us, would like your help. That would be nice, Cassie said. You have to say one thing for Erek. The boy knew how to tell a story. Suddenly, everything around us dissolved. In its place, there grew a vast three-dimensional picture. It looked as real as Erek. We were no longer on Earth. There were Two suns in the sky, one small and almost red, the other 4 times as big as Earth's sun and a deeper gold. The trees and flowers and grasses around us were definitely not anything that had ever grown on Earth. The trunks of the trees were green and smooth, but instead of leaves, the branches just kept splitting into ever smaller branches and twigs that grew gradually from green to silver to a brilliant shade of pink. These pink twigs were all intertwined, so that from a distance the trees looked like huge balls of pink steel wood. The trees were no larger than Earth trees, it seemed to me, but what was huge were the mushrooms. At least they looked kind of like mushrooms. They were half as large as the trees themselves. Many. Gosh. This was an important chapter, I said. Let me not mess up, I said. Okay, let's restart that paragraph. The trees were no larger than Earth trees, it seemed to me, but what was huge were the mushrooms. At least they looked kind of like mushrooms. They were half as large as the trees themselves. Messy nests of some leathery, leaping, three-legged animals seemed to be perched on each of the mushrooms. There were other animals around, each stranger than the last. But the main animal we saw was a two-legged creature that stood maybe 4 feet tall. It had long, floppy ears and a muzzle. It looked weirdly like a dog that could walk on its hind legs. It looked, in fact, a little like Erek when he dropped the hologram and showed his true self. Our creators, Erek said. They were known as Pemalites. 100,000 years before the Andalites learned to make fire, the Pemalites were capable of faster than light travel. I noticed Axe's tail twitch a little at that. And of course, humans were just hairy apes when the Pemalites first visited Earth. The Pemalites were not interested in conquest or in interfering in the lives of other planets. They enjoyed life. Erek smiled. They loved to play. They loved games and jokes and laughter. And they had been a fully evolved race for so long that all the harsher instincts were gone from them. They had no evil in their hearts. They had no evil in their souls. I found this hard to believe, but as I watched the hologram around me, it was possible to believe that on this weird planet, the Pemalites had found some deep inner peace. There was just a sense of deep calm about the place, like one of those Zen gardens or something. It just felt peaceful. Peaceful, but not dead or tired or boring. In fact, everywhere I looked, I saw Pemalites jumping around, chasing, playing, and making an odd truck, 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 truck that must have been laughter. The scene around me changed, like a movie doing a flash forward. Now, mingled in with the Pemalites were androids like Erek. The androids looked vaguely like their canine creators. We were toys, originally. Erek said. The Pemlites made us to play with. They called us the Chi. It's a word that means friend. They also had work for us to do, but they created us mostly to be their companions. An artificial race, yes, but not a race of mechanical slaves. Erek looked at us, and I swear there were tears in his holographic eyes. We were their friends and equals and companions. They taught us to laugh and play. They loved it when they were able to create androids who could tell a joke. There was a celebration that lasted a year. Then, zap! I jerked back. A monstrous beam of light sliced the ground open right in front of us, like some insane plow tearing up the earth. It incinerated the pink Brillo pad trees and the huge mushrooms. Then the howlers came, Erek explained. They suddenly popped out of zero space. Thousands of powerful ships. They had come from clear outside this galaxy. The Pemlites had no idea who they were, and they never found out what the Howlers wanted. The Howlers made no demands. They just attacked. Maybe that's all they wanted, to destroy. What Erek showed us next was like one of those horrifying films from World War II. Pemlites hunted from the air, Pemlite space stations blown apart, Pemlite ships sliced open, and helpless Pemlites left to drift through cold, dead space. The scenes of massacre just went on and on. I noticed Cassie was crying. I think I was crying too. It was too horrible. Almost the entire race of Pemlites was wiped out, Erek said. A few hundred Shi and a few hundred Pemlites left the planet, escaping in a single ship just seconds ahead of a new wave of Howler attacks. We escaped into zero space. Had no plan, no idea what to do. Why didn't you fight back? I demanded. I mean, you talk about how advanced the Pemlites were. If they could create androids, they could create weapons. Erek looked at me and nodded, like he agreed. The Pemlites had forgotten the ways of conflict and war. They were creatures of peace. They'd forgotten that there could be such a thing as pure evil. The answer just frustrated me. It made no sense. But I let Erek tell the rest of his grim story. As we ran for our lives through zero space, we discovered that the Howlers had achieved a special revenge. The Pemlites began to become sick. They began to die. The Howlers had unleashed germ weapons. The Pemlites were doomed. But we Chi, we androids, were unaffected. The scene around us became the inside of a spaceship, a scene of Chi looking on helplessly while one of their creators writhed in pain. Then we remembered a planet similar to our own, but very far from our home and the Howlers. It had only one sun, and the light was pale, but there were trees and grass and wonderful oceans. Earth, Cassie said. Earth, Erek said. Pemlites had not visited Earth in 50,000 years, And in that time, everything had changed. The wandering tribes of primates had created cities. They had domesticated animals. They were planting crops. We landed on Earth with just 6 Pemlites still clinging to life. The hologram disappeared. An underground cavern was back to its normal self. A wide park of earth trees and earth plants with dogs everywhere. We could not save the Pemlites. They would die. But we could try and rescue some part of them. We hoped we could keep their hearts, their souls alive somehow. We looked for an Earth species we could use to harbor the essence of the Pemlites. Their decency, their kindness, their playfulness and love. Wolves, Cassie said, once again way ahead of me. Erek looked surprised, but he nodded his holographically projected human head. Yes, they looked most like the Pemlites themselves. We grafted the essence of the Pemlites into the wolf species. And from that union, dogs were created. To this day, most dogs carry within them the essence of the Pemlites. Not all, but most. Wherever you see a dog playing, chasing a stick, running around barking for the sheer joy of life, you see the remnants of the race of Pemlites. That's why all these dogs are here, Jake said. They're your, what, friends? Creators? They are our joy, Erek said, because they remind us of a world without evil, the world we lost. We Chi are all that is left of Pemlite technological genius. The dogs of Earth are all that is left of Pemlite souls. And that is the end of this nice, happy chapter. And what angers me, one of the things that angers me about the Animorphs TV series is how royally they screwed over the Chi. In one episode, they have this Chi that that's lost on Earth and then just helps the Animorphs for one mission, then Erek's off. And it's like the Animorphs TV show did such a job of taking this dark yet dark material of the Animorphs series and just taking away any dark implications. This series is for kids, but the Chi's backstory involves their creators, being killed. Genocide. Their backstory involves genocide. And then it's we love dogs so much because that is our only connection to our creators. And it's the one thing that they can hold on to remind themselves of a good world, of a time when when the Pemlites were alive. And the TV show is uh, let's see. We'll take the Erek King character and keep him as Chi, but then remove everything else. It's I can understand the TV show having to deal with, the level of technology at the time. That show should not have been. That show should not have been live action. The technology to do it on a tight budget was not there. And so I can understand some things happening in the show, not happening in the show because, technological limits and budget restrictions. But then they didn't really have to show the chi in their natural forms at all, or maybe just little brief glimpses or characters saying, "Hey, look at this! I saw this chi," without the hologram or some shit. You didn't. The show didn't have to remove the tragic, dark backstory from the chi. Like, they could have done that within budgetary restrictions. Some things would have to change, but they didn't have to remove the genocide. Whew. Yeah, this is one of those rants where I will say this rant millions of times. Like, if you'd known me in real life, and if we're very talkative in real life, you know, this is one of those rants that I can't stop. Once this rant starts, we're both along for the ride here. Yeah. So yeah, this more we get more information about the Howlers later on. So I don't want to talk about them at present, because I'm really afraid that anything I say could be a little too spoilery. Because, yeah. But if you are interested in knowing more about the Howlers, later on in the series, we do learn more about the Howlers. Oh, jeez, yeah, that's a lot to take. Okay, let's see. A good question. Do you like dogs? And if you do like dogs, do you own a dog? What type of dog or dogs do you own? And if you don't own a dog, what breed would you be interested in buying? And if you do own a dog, is there any breed you're looking forward to getting in the future? Like, right now, I don't own a dog, but once I do, I know I wouldn't ever be able to get a husky. Just, this house is way too small. Like, I would not be able to get a husky, but huskies are just so adorable. They're adorable. And remember, you can comment down below with anything else you noticed about this chapter. And remember to like this video if you like dogs or birds. If you like dogs or birds, give this video a thumbs up. And remember, if you're going to comment on this video, no major spoilers. I am hoping against hope that people get brought into the series via these videos. So there are some big twists and turns coming up that it shouldn't be spoiled for newcomers. Let's see. And oh yeah, subscribe, because I am going to be reading the entire Animorphs series. So you don't want to miss a thing. This is an awesome series. And if this dramatic reading has piqued your interest, and you're like, hey, I want to get a hand on my own copy of Animorphs number 10, The Android by Kay Applegate, wherever I post this lovely video, I will be posting a link to where you can buy your very own copy. And I think that's it. I think after this also I might take a shower. Might help with the asthma. I was feeling a little worse today, so. And I hope you'll stay safe and you're all doing well. And until next video, goodbye.